All right, I gotta prove that there's 5 people in here.
1.
We're not counting. We're not players.
All right.
The literal rent-a-crowd. That's great.
Literally.
Yeah.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Scott Epperson. I am currently, or I'm going to talk today about the strengths and weaknesses I have as or I see that I have as a presenter and a public speaker. I am currently trying to achieve a bachelor's degree at Columbia College, and part of that degree is that I need to take a public speaking class. And that kind of takes over the requirement for it. But I'm also looking at the public speaking class as kind of a formal way to get some education in public speaking. As you'll see here in a minute, I've been doing public speaking, I've been instructing for a long time, but I've never actually had a formal class in public speaking, and the instructor schools that we went to didn't really cover that. I've been actually speaking to groups since about 1984 when I joined the Air Force. I joined as an aircrew life support specialist. I was teaching the air crews of the medevac wing at Scott Air Force Base land survival, water survival, and aircrew chemical warfare defense. I actually even achieved or got a Air Force Achievement Medal for working with those lesson plans and adapting those lesson plans down so they would be understood by all the different air crews. Fast forward a little ways, 1989, I switched over to the Coast Guard. Spent a couple years out in the fleet working with different units, and went to the Defense Information School in 1991 in Fort Benjamin Harrison in Indianapolis. There I became a public affairs specialist, and part of the public affairs job was that I needed to be able to teach public affairs to all the various units in our area, depending on where I was stationed. And those units could be anywhere from a couple E3s and a chief, all the way up to a room full of captains. So I had to be able to adapt and speak to various different groups of different sizes, different ranks, different education levels. One of the other things I had to do as part of the job is I had to be able to stand up in front of a camera and talk about the Coast Guard to an audience for the camera. And with that, I could talk to the small group, but I would also at that point know that I was going to be talking to a larger group, a more global group, and sometimes nationally. In some cases, it was even internationally. Part of that I also had to do was I had to know it enough to be able to teach other folks, and instruct other folks, and coach other folks on standing in front of the camera. I had to actually work with them on set, or not on set, but as the case is going on, to be able to stand in front of the camera and effectively answer questions and talk about what was going on. So I really had to know what I was doing. One of the things I have learned over all these years and of all this experience is that I can adapt a subject to an audience. And I've learned how to do that. I've learned how to mold it down so I'm not saying the same speech no matter who's listening. The education level, the rank, all those things pair in down to where I can, readapt the subject, or readapt what I'm teaching. Now, talk about this. I'm supposed to be talking about strengths and weaknesses. Some of the weaknesses that I've had, and that I see in myself, is I get so caught up in the subject, so caught up in what I'm talking about, that all I'm thinking about is what's next, what the next step is, what I'm going to talk about next, and I fail to hear questions that the audience asks me. And I have to ask them to ask that again, then consciously focus on that on that person. And I have a feeling that this makes me kind of look like I don't know what I'm talking about with the subject, or that I don't know enough about a subject that I should be talking about it. One of the other weaknesses I've noticed that I have is that if I don't know a subject very well, I tend to pause. In my speech, I'll pause, I'll be looking at the card, or I'll be looking at something else, and I have to think consciously about what I'm going to say next. I feel that those pauses, however, tend to be long. At least to me, they feel like they're really long, which again might make the audience think that I don't know what I'm talking about, or that I'm not sure of myself, not sure of what's going on. Now, I do know some solutions to these problems, and that the way I need to fix them is I need to actually consciously and deliberately pay attention to folks when they're asking me questions about subjects and stuff. And also need to make sure that I know enough about a subject that I don't have to start thinking about what's next. And can progress on even after someone's interrupted me with a question. Or I shouldn't say interrupted me with a question. That someone's asked a question and then interrupts the flow of the speech. And part of the knowledge of knowing my subject that I'm talking about is also pairs over to the other part where if I know my subject, I don't think I'm going to pause as long. One of the other ways I can fix that is to take myself doing something, observe one of these pauses on a tape and see if it really is as long as it feels. So in conclusion, I do have some experience in public speaking. I do have some experience in talking in front of audiences, and I'm pretty comfortable doing that. I do have some weaknesses, however, and through a little bit of practice and a little bit of effort, I can fix those. Thank you.